At night, a prosperous and impetuous second-tier city, the streets are busy with traffic, and the beginning of nightlife allows many young people to escape from the stuffy rooms and squander their time. Su Xiao squatted on the roof of a two-story villa, and the night wind blew over him, making him feel cool. Su Xiao was wearing black clothes and a large black hood, hiding his figure in the darkness of the roof. This outfit would make people feel stuffy even at night in the hot summer, but compared with his unfortunate experience, this is nothing. He has been waiting here for 2 hours. At Su Xiao's current age, he should have spent a good time in college, but because of hatred, he gave up his studies 3 years ago and began to learn some other knowledge of human anatomy, fighting, quick lock picking, etc. The long wait began. 2 hours later, a black luxury car slowly drove into the villa. The dual engine sound died down, the car door opened, and a drunken middle-aged man walked out of the luxury car. Because of excessive drinking, the middle-aged man's steps were obviously a little shaky. Su Xiao, who was on the roof of the villa, picked up a long knife beside him. The long knife was unsheathed, and the blade was black, which made it difficult to detect with the help of the night. Jumping down from the 6-meter-high roof, Su Xiao's flexible arms grabbed the protruding corners of the villa in the air, slowing down the speed of falling. Landing smoothly, Su Xiao landed right in front of the enemy without any nonsense. The long knife in Su Xiao's hand cut through the air, and after a whimper, he cut the enemy's throat with one knife. Blood gushed out, and although Su Xiao tried his best to avoid it, his cuffs and the back of his hand were still stained with blood. The drunk enemy fell to the ground before he understood what happened. This kind of injury is no different from death. So Su Xiao immediately ran to a sparsely populated place. Su Xiao saw a uniformed security guard in his peripheral vision. Although he was committing a crime, it didn't matter if he was witnessed on the spot, as he hid his appearance very well. But the next moment, Su Xiao felt his hair stand on end. The security guard actually pulled out a gun from his waist. It was a black pistol with a slender body, and it was obviously equipped with a silencer. How could the security guard have a gun? Su Xiao had no time to think carefully. Behind him was a villa with at least a dozen widths. The security guard was about 20 meters away from him. If he chose to escape, his back would be completely exposed to the enemy, and he would become a live target. When encountering danger, Su Xiao's first reaction was to solve the source of the danger, not to escape. Rushing forward, Su Xiao ran in an S shape to avoid being shot as much as possible. Puff, puff, puff. The pistol equipped with a silencer only made a faint gunshot. Su Xiao had just rushed out about 5 meters when he felt his calf go numb, and then the same feeling came from his chest. Su Xiao knew that he was shot. Although he was an avenger, he had never been shot. The feeling of weakness spread throughout his body. Su Xiao was not afraid, but just a little unwilling. He had not yet completed his revenge, but he had already fallen down and was killed by an unknown enemy. What a cowardly thing! Using up his last strength, Su Xiao threw the long knife in his hand. This knife was basically left to fate, but God seemed to be aware of Su Xiao's unwillingness and his unfair experience. After spinning rapidly in the air for several circles, the long knife miraculously pierced into the chest of the armed security guard. Su Xiao, who collapsed to the ground, smiled. He had tempered the long knife with a neurotoxin, and it was a mixed type. The stabbed security guard was definitely dead. His consciousness began to blur, and Su Xiao felt a heavy blow to the head, and then everything in front of him was dark. In the last remaining consciousness, Su Xiao heard vaguely, "Hunter, Reincarnation Paradise is open for you. Body transmission in progress. 10%, 50%, 100%. Transmission completed. The hunter's body has been checked to be heavily damaged and needs to be repaired. The hunter's consciousness has not awakened. The repair command has been postponed, and the minimum survival state is maintained for 10 minutes. Ding! I found that the hunter's talent is a growth talent, and the survival time is increased by 2 hours." In the darkness, several rows of light blue text floated in the air, emitting a faint glow. Under the light blue text, Su Xiao was lying in the void covered in blood, with his fingers twitching. Su Xiao woke up slowly. After waking up, Su Xiao was a little dazed at first, but after recalling the black muzzle of the gun, he immediately wanted to stand up. Su Xiao felt a sharp pain and almost fainted again. Sitting up with difficulty, Su Xiao glanced around. Except for a few lines of blue glowing text, the surroundings were pitch black. "Hunter, Welcome to the Reincarnation Paradise. A line of text appeared in front of Su Xiao out of thin air. But Su Xiao did not look at the line of text, but began to check the injuries on his body. His calf was pierced, and the skin and flesh at the wound rolled up, and his fingers could easily penetrate into it. In this bloody scene, Su Xiao just frowned and showed no other expression. He had experienced scenes that were 10 times more cruel than this, so this did not move him. The wound on the chest was more serious, but no blood flowed from the wounds on the calf or chest. "I'm not dead." Putting his hand on his chest, Su Xiao felt his heart beating strongly. "Hunter, you are not dead. Are you willing to join the Reincarnation Paradise? Here you can find everything you want." Su Xiao had noticed those suspicious words a long time ago, but out of vigilance against unknown things, he ignored them. The current situation is a bit strange. He was injured and must die, but he survived miraculously. And there was a row of blood-red numbers counting down in front of him. 1点35分10秒 1点35分9 1 hour 35 minutes and 9 seconds. If Su Xiao guessed correctly, this is what those numbers mean. And the numbers are still counting down. This blood-red number gave Su Xiao an ominous feeling, as if he would lose his life when this number returned to 0. "Hunter, please communicate with the Paradise as soon as possible to sign a contract. Otherwise you will die after 1 hour and 35 minutes. Sure enough, those numbers represent the time he can still live. Su Xiao had guessed before that his injuries were too severe, and he should have died long ago. "Where's my knife?" Su Xiao didn't care about the contract or paradise, but asked the other party for his knife. That knife was the only memorial left to him by his parents. It was said that it was an officer's knife seized by his great-grandfather and passed down to his generation. Most real objects cannot be brought into the paradise. Please sign the contract as soon as possible. Su Xiao was silent, and the light blue text flashed. Maybe he had never met a hunter like Su Xiao. "Contract, tell me, what do I need to pay and what can I get?" The gradually decreasing survival time left Su Xiao with not much time to waste, and he felt that he must have encountered some supernatural events, which made him feel a little fluctuating. Su Xiao needed strength to take revenge, and supernatural events were accompanied by huge risks, but they could also gain extraordinary power. After signing the contract, you will travel through one derivative plane after another to complete the tasks issued by Reincarnation Paradise, obtain the source of the world, and ultimately the amount of source of the world will determine whether the reward is rich or not. Reincarnation Paradise is omnipotent. A large amount of text appeared, and Su Xiao read it carefully. "Omnipotent, can resurrect the dead." All the light blue text suddenly stopped in mid-air, and then disappeared. "Due to your identity as a hunter, you can't."